Psalms, chapter 92. Find it here in my Bible. Verses 12 through 15. Now, I'm going to read from the Common English Bible Translation. The reading in our bulletin is the English Standard Version. And the reason I'm not reading from the English Standard Version is I have lost that particular Bible. It's a new one that I had for a couple weeks. I haven't seen it in several weeks. So if you find an English Standard Version Bible, it's a leather-bound, a pebbled leather. It's probably mine. I didn't put my name in it. I figured Jesus' name was in it, and that's good enough. But perhaps I should have put my name in it. All right, Psalm 92, verses 12 through 15. The righteous will spring up like a palm tree. They will grow strong like a cedar of Lebanon. Those who have been replanted in the Lord's house will spring up in the courtyards of our God. They will bear fruit even when old and gray. They will remain lush and fresh in order to proclaim, the Lord is righteous. He's my rock. There's nothing unrighteous in him. Now, the message I want to share with you is called, I love growing older, but I'll never grow old. And perhaps more than anything, that particular title really hit me this last week as I was working and stumbling to bed and stumbling out of bed and needing more coffee and feeling more aches and pains and thinking I am getting older. But I share this because we're all getting older, aren't we? No matter what age we are, we're all growing older. Several years ago, except for Anne, she's growing younger. Several years ago, I used to go to a salon to get my hair cut. Well, maybe more than several years ago now, but one day I went to a new place, and a lady named Mary cut my hair. And during our get-to-know-one-another conversation, she asked this question: do you mind if I ask how old you are? And I said, of course, I don't mind. And I said, I'll be 49 this November. I thought to myself, well, she's probably going to say something like, you look 10 years younger. But instead, she said, so how's that going for you? Do you notice any difference now that you're getting older? So I said, well, I do notice a difference. It's harder to shed those extra pounds. My joints ache more. I need hearing aids now. I'm growing older. We all are. And I think we have a choice in how we go about this. Now, we can grow older gracefully, with a sense of dignity and character, or we can grow older reluctantly and bitterly, with many a backward glance at our younger days until one morning we wake up and say, I've grown old. There's a difference between growing old and growing older. Ellsworth Callis once wrote, growing older is a process. Growing old is a destination. Growing older means you're going somewhere. Growing old means you've reached somewhere. Older is a journey. Old is a destination. A conclusion, if you will. Now, I don't know about you, but my destination in life is not to grow old. My destination in life is to grow closer to God until I join him in heaven. And I won't settle for old as my destination. And here's why. If I settle for old as my destination, I'll rob myself of some of the best years of this journey. And no doubt there's ups and downs in that journey, and my body doesn't recover from a hard day's work like it used to. My reflexes aren't as fast. It's harder to remember things. And I know I'll never be a Wimbledon champion or a PGA champion, a movie star, a millionaire, and probably not an international CIA spy either. Those are all things I thought I would be when I was younger. On the other hand, I've learned many valuable lessons as I've grown older. I don't have to work harder, just more wisely. I don't have to remember everything. And moving more slowly to fully enjoy God's gift of creation is a good thing. And while I'll never be those other things, I know God has me right where I'm supposed to be, and I'm going to enjoy this journey. I believe when we can say that we're at the best place in our life, we are growing older, not growing old. And there's an intentionality to how we grow older. Listen to our scripture again. The righteous will flourish. The CEB translation said spring, but I'm going to say flourish. The righteous will flourish like a palm tree. They will grow like a cedar of Lebanon planted in the house of the Lord. They will flourish in the courts of our God. They will still bear fruit in old age. In other words, the righteous will spring up, grow, mature, flourish, even when older and grayer. A righteous is being in a right relationship with God. And without a doubt, being in a right relationship with God doesn't just happen. There's deliberation to the choices we make in this relationship, as with any relationship. We choose to see the beauty of God's creation. We choose to see the goodness in people. We choose to respond in kindness and grace. We choose to give and love and live a life that honors God. And sometimes I think we try to make that too complicated. And in most cases, I think we can simply ask the question, does what I'm doing honor God? Yes or no? Yeah. Yes. When we live our life in right relationship with God, we flourish. The righteous will flourish like the palm tree and grow like a cedar in Lebanon. They are planted in the house of the Lord. They flourish in the courts of our God. And to flourish means to grow luxuriously or to reach new heights of development. A righteous life does not occur by happenstance, nor does growing older gracefully. But one of the concerns that we have as we grow older is our health. And not only for ourselves, but we worry about those who will have to take care of us in our declining years. Or we worry, am I going to be able to take care of my husband or my wife? The younger generation worries about how they'll care for aging parents, the cost of hospitalization and medicine, prescriptions and quality lawn care facilities is tremendously high. That's why it's so important to make health a priority for us now. Not tomorrow, not later, but now. Now is the time to have a healthier diet. Now is the time for daily exercise. Now is the time to give up smoking. Now is the time to care for ourselves, that we might save our family from having to pay for our own neglect down the road. John Donne said so simply and deeply, no person lives unto him or herself, and no one dies simply to himself. And I think the same holds true in how we care for ourselves. What I eat, how I manage my weight, if I exercise, whether I smoke or if I drink to excess will impact Brenda, my wife, and my daughter Grace. If not now, then somewhere down the road. A recent health report said 1 out of 4 people between the ages of 65 and 74 exercise regularly. Too many people assume that they're out of shape or too sick or too tired or just plain too old to exercise. And that's not right. That's wrong. Exercise is almost always good for people of any age. Dr. Duda, PhD, Chief of Clinical Gerontology Branch at the National Institute of Aging, said, exercise can help make you stronger, prevent bone loss, improve balance and coordination, lift your mood, boost your memory, and ease the symptoms of many chronic conditions. But sometimes, no matter how well we care for ourselves, something unexpected comes along. There aren't many of us here this morning who have not in some way felt the cold hand of fear resting on the back of our neck when the doctor mentions the word cancer to us. Alzheimer's claims our memories until a dad no longer recognizes his own daughter, or a wife does not recognize her own husband. Parkinson's, MS, ALS, rheumatoid arthritis. There's nothing more frightening and frustrating to see our health deteriorate or our bank accounts shrink and our life expectancy grow short because of a disease we did not ask for. And no amount of planning will ease that burden for too very long. Through no fault of ours, this can leave us as invalids, physically, financially, emotionally. It's going to eat away at us spiritually and relationally as well. But on the other hand, I have known elderly people who have little to no money, who have great health concerns and little mobility, and yet are the most cherished person in the family. They have the gift of bringing joy and light into our hearts with a simple smile, a word, or a hug. And they're willing to share words of wisdom about life, and we seek them out to hear what they have to say. We want to spend time with them. We want to sit at their feet as they share their stories of their own child and when their children, of their own childhood, and when their children were young. When I was young, I rented the upper flat of a home for my uncle in Sheboygan Falls. And eventually my grandmother, his mother, moved into the lower flat or lower part of that house. And I loved having that time with her. We'd get up early in the morning and have coffee together. Or I'd take her grocery shopping on the weekend. I'd help her with her laundry. She used to tell stories of raising her 5 children, or of going to the neighbors in the evening. That was their entertainment. And she told me what a rascal Grandpa was. But she would also lament the memories of friends and family who had passed on before her. One of the fears of growing old is when you begin to see names of your own generation listed in the obituaries. It can seem like a curse when you outlive your friends. I read something the other day which helped to put this into perspective for me. The writer said, so what if the circle of friends is by attrition growing smaller? Who then will grow old along with me is the question we ask. But can't we still make new friends as we grow older? If we think of growing older rather than growing old, we can. If we're set in our ways and unwilling to make room in our lives for new ideas, new things, new people, well, we've probably already grown old and reached our destination. If we're enjoying the journey of growing older and willing to risk it, we'll find new friends who are worth knowing, who will share their story, thus making it part of our story. And these new friends might be a neighbor who just moved across the street. Or maybe it's someone new at church. Or maybe it's someone much younger than yourself. Hopefully it's someone who makes you laugh or lets you cry without embarrassment. Someone who's a good listener, who gives you hope and helps you to enjoy life. No matter how our life has turned out, it's never too late to turn from growing old to growing older, gracefully, and remembering that the ultimate friendship is that with God. Genesis describes a place where God walks among us in the cool evening breeze. And while Eden has long been closed to us, Robert Browning once said, our reach must exceed our grasp, or what's a heaven for? As we pause to look with grace and faith upon the path of past, with all its ups and downs, we look forward to God's heaven. And we give thanks for whatever this life has been. By God's grace and mercy, the best is yet to come.